This is Taiku 299. The 299th Taiku in the Babylonian Talmud, according to the book called Taiku by Rabbi Aharon Yoshua Pessin. And Taiku 299 is the Taiku designated for the 14th of April, Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. And Yom Shlishi 27, Nisan 786. And it's important that I use these dates because up ahead, not today, not tomorrow, not the next day, but the day after that, there's going to come a little bit of a bump in the road, I'll say. And it's a really good case study in pagination, meaning page numbers, versus mistakes, and being one off, and then getting back on track. It's because I spotted a discrepancy. And this can have an application in many, many areas, like finance or just like any business, really. When there's a certain amount of something and it was accounted for in an erroneous way, and this accounting continues on in an orderly fashion, however, it's erroneous. But there's a point where it gets back into line, and how that correlates with time, information, and actual page numbers. In my world, and many people's worlds, numbers are very important, and if something is the 299th of something, it's different than if it's the 300th. Even if eventually you have the same amount of things there, each number has its own connotation. If something is the 7th, it's not the same as if it's the 8th. So if a certain piece of information was counted as the 302nd thing, and in truth, it's not the 302nd thing, the next thing would be. And what's being counted as the 302nd, it doesn't in fact exist. It might be a question of this is a big word, but epistemology, or maybe it's ontology. I think it's basically it's the philosophy. It's the science of knowing something. How can you know that you know something? Or maybe I'm getting confused. But the point is that if you call something, but it's not in fact that thing, how can that be used? And what implications or ramifications going to have in the overall big picture? These are the questions that I grapple with, and I'm just putting this out there because this is going to come up. God willing, I'm saying, all goes well. We don't know what's happening from day to day, but if things go forward, then we're going to come into this probably around Friday and then Saturday or Shabbat, not on Shabbat, but like Saturday night, that will come into play. And probably the reconciliation, I'm guessing, will happen by early next week. But the point is to catch it when it happens and see how it gets reconciled. Okay, so here we go. This is the 299th Taiku. And it appears in Tractate Temurah, page 10a, according to the book by Rabbi Aharon Yoshua Pessin called Taiku. And it starts on 9b. At the bottom, with the words Amar Abaye, 9b. Amar Abaye, Hadin Kami Bayele, I Kedusha Cheres Boise Guf Kami Bayele, Olani Bayele Human, I Guf Echad. In brackets it says Acher, Boise Kedusha V'chule. Abaye said, which of these two is the essential dilemma he is raising? If he raises a dilemma with regard to the case of another type of sanctity in the same body, he should not raise the dilemma about a case where the initial guilt offering became blemished and he transferred its sanctity to another animal. And if his essential dilemma concerns the case of another body with the same type of sanctity, he could pose his dilemma with regard to a case where the second animal was not lost and found and consigned to be a burnt offering. Or the Gemara explains that Rav Avin raises one dilemma as a result of the anticipated solution to another dilemma. If the initial guilt offering became blemished, and he desacralized it by transferring its sanctity onto another second animal, what is the halacha as to whether the owner must add 1/5 to its value when he redeems it? Do we say that with regard to a second redemption of the first guilt offering, he does not add 1/5, since it is the same body and the same sanctity? But here, when it is another body, even though it maintains the same type of sanctity as the initial animal, he adds 1/5, as it is considered to be directly consecrated. Okay, now we turn to 10a. Oy dilma, or maybe, kol oiso. Or perhaps we say that if one redeems any animal that possesses the same sanctity as the original, he does not add an additional 1/5. Or כי אינו מויסף חוימש בויסי הגוף בויסי קדושה אבל בקדושה אחרת לא יודעים מה כיוון דויסי הגוף הוא אינו מויסף חוימש תיקו. And if you say that with regard to this other body, since it maintains the same type of sanctity as the initial animal, one does not add 1/5 when redeeming it. But what of a case where the first animal was lost and the owner achieved atonement by bringing another, and this first animal was found and was consigned to be sacrificed as a burnt offering? What is the halacha? Do we say that when one does not add an additional 1/5, that is only with regard to the same body, with the same type of sanctity, but in the case of another type of sanctity, the exemption does not apply? Or perhaps we say that since it is the same body, one does not add 1/5. The Gemara concludes, Taiku. The dilemma shall stand resolved. This has been the Taiku, the 299th Taiku of Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, and Yom Shlishi, 27 Nisan 5786. I look forward to this bifurcation that I mentioned and seeing it as a very interesting case of resolution of discrepancies. Thanks for listening.